And actually, before we start working on the back of the truck here, let's actually get the mud flaps modeled in here. Okay, and they're going to go underneath and bolt right onto this beam here at the back. Okay, and they're also pretty simple, just like all the other pieces here. So we'll keep it as lightweight as possible. Let's maybe go into the left view. We'll just grab all the pieces here at the back. Just going to do Control I again. And before we do it, let's actually just unhide all here so we have our blueprints, and then we'll just hide the front of the truck. Okay, let's zoom in here, and you can see it hanging down right here. Okay, so let's go back into the front view. And I think we'll just start this out of a box, and then we'll put in the top bracket here as well as those bolts. Okay, so let's grab a box, and we'll just draw it out from, say, about here, and just kind of fill the shape. All right, give it a little bit of thickness, and we'll move it forward in the left view. Okay, and just try to line up there. Let's put the blue shader on it, and we'll just figure out if that's about the right thickness we need. All right, that looks pretty good right there. Let's maybe do about 6 or so on the height. Okay. And we'll convert to editable poly. Just going to move up the top verts here a little bit more. Let's just pull this up and try to line up with the blueprint there. It's a little hard to see, but it's right about there. Okay, we also need to bend it a little bit here at the bottom towards the back, so we're going to need to add some segments horizontally here on the surface. All right, so we'll go over to edge. Let's just grab the 4 side vertical edges. Okay, we'll do a connect on that. And we'll just do maybe 7 or 8 segments here. Looks like 7 is what I had originally, so we'll just go with that. No pinch, no slide. Hit OK to that. Alright, and we'll use the bend modifier just to bend out the bottom. Alright, let's drop one of those on. And if we do it right now, it's going to bend the entire object here, which isn't what we want. We want the bend to start about halfway. So let's maybe set this on the y-axis. We'll take the direction up to, say, 90. Okay, we'll just bring up the amount a little bit here. Okay, you can see it bending out, and we don't want the top to bend. Okay, so the way to get around that and only bend the bottom is to just drop back down into the edit poly here, and we'll go into vertex, and we'll just grab maybe the bottom couple of rows here, verts, up to about this midpoint. Okay, and then we'll just while we're still in vertex suboptimal mode, we'll just go up and click on bend. Okay, and you can see that only applied the bend from here down. Okay, and the top stays straight, which is what we want. Okay, so now we'll just adjust the angle down a bit until we match what's on the blueprints. Let's do about 11 or so, looks probably about right. Okay, so just like that. All right, and it still might be a little bit too thick. Let's maybe just leave it like that. Okay, so now I'm going to just collapse it to editable poly again to get rid of the bend modifier. And we'll just chamfer down the edges a bit here. Okay, we'll start with the bottom 2 corners. So let's grab this corner edge here and the one on the other side. And let's go back to the front view. And you can see they're pretty rounded over here, so we're going to give this a triple chamfer. Okay, so with the 2 edges selected there, we'll just open up chamfer. Let's take the amount up quite a bit. Let's do about 17 or so on the first one. And we'll hit apply. We'll bring the second one down a bit. Okay, we can actually do some perspective so we can see where the edges are. We'll just try to evenly space those. Around 6.3 or so should be good. Maybe just a little bit more. 6.5 or so, and we'll hit apply one more time and bring this down a little bit more. All right, and just even out those edges there. We'll hit OK. Now it'll give us the round corners that we need on the bottom here. Okay, so for the top, let me just maybe go into isolation mode here so it's a little bit quicker to capture. And we'll just grab the 2 top corners now and just give them a slight chamfer. Okay, and this is pretty much going to be hidden inside the bracket, so you're not really going to see this anyways. Let's do about 2 or so. and okay. Okay, and we'll just also chamfer down the outside edges here. So let's just grab the 4 vertical edges at the top. We'll do a loop on that, and we'll just have to manually select these bottom ones here. Alright, so just hold down Control and just grab these ones on the front and back, as well as the 2 longer bottom ones and the same ones on this side. Pretty much want to have the outline of both faces selected, or the front and back faces. Okay, so like that. We'll also get the top couple up here. And we'll just chamfer these down a little bit. Okay, so let's take that down a little bit more. Let's do about 1.5 or so, and okay. And that's virtually it for the mud flap. Really simple geometry. Okay, so now that we have that done, we'll just exit isolation mode. Okay, and we'll just start working on the brackets here. Okay, so back in the front view again. Okay, and this is the bracket here. We'll just start this out of another box. Alright, so I'm just going to start here in this upper left corner, and we'll just take it all the way to the other side and try to line it up. Give it a little bit of thickness, and we'll move it to the back here in the left view. Okay, we want to have the mud flap actually sandwiched in between kind of 2 pieces here, so we'll delete out some polygons in a second. Just see if that's about the right thickness we need. Just going to put the blue shader on it. And that looks pretty close right there. Let's do maybe 10 or so on the height. Okay, we'll just kind of center that to the mud flap. Okay, so now we can convert this to double poly. And I'm just going to select the mud flap as well as this piece, and we'll just hide everything else here by going into isolation mode. And we'll just delete out some polygons here on the top piece. So back into polygon, grab the 2 end polys as well as the bottom one and delete those. Okay, just like that. And we'll jump into the left view here. And to get some thickness on this piece, we'll just use another shell modifier. Okay, so drop one of those on. We'll right click the outer amount and take up the inner amount. Okay, we also want to make sure that we check on the straighten corners here so the edges are straight. And we'll just take that up until it touches up with the mud flap. And it looks like about 2 or so should be good. Okay, that'll give us a piece there that we can sandwich that in between. Okay, so that's pretty much it for modeling. We'll just collapse it down to editable poly, and we'll just knock off a couple of these edges. Alright, so let's grab these 2 top ones. We'll do a loop on those, and a chamfer. And let's just roll it over a little bit more here. Do about 1.25. And okay, if you really want to smooth out, you can give it another chamfer there, but I don't really think it's necessary. Alright, so we'll just knock out the bottom 4 corners as well, or 4 edges. So grab those, chamfer them down, and we'll tighten this one up a little bit more. Let's do about 0.5 or so, and okay. And for the edges on each end, we'll just go into polygon and grab the 5 polygons on each end. Just do it this way actually, and just deselect those middle ones. Okay, and then we'll control click edge, and just go into left view here, and we'll just hold down Alt and deselect these cross edges here. Okay, we just want the ends to be selected. And we'll just give that a slight chamfer as well. Alright, that looks pretty good right there, around 0.4 or so. Okay, so that'll be the top bracket for the mud flap. Let's get out of isolation mode again. And we need to add some bolts onto here obviously, so let's maybe unhide all. And we'll just steal one off the front of the truck. Okay, so I'm going to grab this and let's ungroup it. Okay, and we'll steal one off the gas tank maybe, so let's ungroup that as well. Okay, we'll zoom in here, let's grab one of these ones here. Alright, so we'll just shift drag that back on the Y as a copy. And we'll just move it all the way to the back. Okay, now we can just hide the rest of this stuff here. Let's go grab all the pieces of the cab and hide those. Okay, and we'll grab our bolt clone here and just move it up. And you can see it's pretty small, so we're going to need to scale it up quite a bit here. Just going to move it in, and you can kind of see where the bolts are there on the blueprint. Alright, so we'll just line it up with the first one, and we'll scale that up quite a bit. We want these to look a little bit more oversized. Okay, and we'll also make sure that the pivot point is centered and that it's touching the surface. Alright, so just push it in a little bit. Like that. Okay, and then we'll go back to the front view here and we'll just clone this along. Alright, so we're going to hold down shift and drag it over on the X to the second bolt there on the blueprint. And for this one we'll choose copy and we'll just take this up a bit. Let's do about 8 and OK. And I'll create the 8 copies. And you can see they're not evenly spaced properly here. It looks like it has a little bit of an offset. See how that looks in the perspective view. Okay. And it doesn't look that bad. If you want to, you can just select these and just line them up a little bit better. Or you can even use the spacing tool to do this, but I think that's pretty even, so we'll just leave it like that for the sake of speed. Okay, let's grab them in the left view here, all the bolts. I'm just going to move them up slightly, so a little bit more evenly spaced between the bottom of this piece and the bottom of the bracket here. Right, a little bit more down maybe. Okay, that looks pretty close. Alright, so with these pieces selected, I'm just going to do a mirror as a copy on the X. And we'll just drag these ones over and put them on the outside. Or the inside, sorry. Okay, just like that. Really, really simple. And right now this piece is just floating next to the back of the truck here, so we're going to need to put something in here so it looks like it's kind of bolted on. We'll just use a simple box to do this. Okay, so let's go back to the front view. Let's switch this to the back view now. Okay, and let's maybe grab a box here. And we won't be able to see this piece on the blueprints, so I'm actually going to hide those right now. We'll just select these few pieces here. Let's actually just select the entire back of the truck. Okay, we'll hide unselected again to get rid of the blueprints. It's a little bit faster. And back in the back here, I'm just going to grab another box and we'll just kind of make some kind of simple shape here. All right, so let's start maybe over here. And we'll come over something like that, just a little bit short of that bar there. Give it a little bit of thickness. And we'll just push this back in the left view and just set it right in here. Okay, so right against that back beam. Okay, let's convert to a poly now. And we'll just adjust the thickness a little bit by moving these front verts out. Okay, we can also make it a little bit longer, so I'm just going to pull the bottom verts down. Okay, so it's kind of filling that gap in between there. Okay, and I think that should be fine for size. So let's chuck the blue material on there. And let's just maybe knock these edges off a little bit. Okay, so back to edge, grab one of those corner edges, let's do a ring on it, and a chamfer. And let's maybe do a double on this just to get a little bit more of a different look. Okay, I'm going to take that up to about 2.5, hit apply, and take the second one down, just to roll it out a little bit more. And about 1 should be good for the second one. And then we'll grab that front polygon, and let's grab the back one as well. And we'll control click edge here and just chamfer these edges down. Okay, I'm going to tighten that up quite a bit. And that should be fine for the bracket that we need. And you can put a lot more detail into these pieces. I'm just doing it as simple as possible for the sake of speed. Okay, let's maybe also put one over here on the inside of the bar. over in this section. So let's just shift drag this on the X. Okay, I'm just going to bring it over like that as a copy. And we'll just kind of evenly space it here on each side of this bar. Okay, something like that should be good. And we'll just shorten it up here by vertex in the back view. Okay, so back into vertex, grab all those left verts. And we'll just pull it over and maybe put something in somewhere like that. Okay, and let's also throw a couple bolts in there. So let's just maybe grab one of these ones from the lower piece here, and we'll just shift drag that up as a copy. And let's just position it maybe right around here. We'll just shift drag a copy over to the other end. And let's also maybe do one in the middle. And I'm just going to eyeball the distance between each piece here. Okay, and we'll also maybe put a couple of bolts over on that smaller piece. So we'll shift drag another one. And let's do 2. Okay, and they're still away from the surface here, as you can see. So let's grab all 5 of these. And we'll just push them back in the left view here until they're touching up with the surface. Okay, and I think that'll take care of the mud flap. Like I said, it's really, really simple. You could definitely do a lot more detail in here. Okay, so now we'll just flip a copy over to the other side there, and we should be done with pretty much the framing of the truck. Alright, so let's go into the left view, and we'll just select all the pieces of the mud flap, as well as that upper bracket and bolts that we made. Okay, we'll deselect these other pieces here that we don't need. Okay, so we just have all these pieces selected here. And let's maybe do a group on this. We'll just call it flap. Okay. And let's go into the top view. And we'll make sure the pivot point is centered here by going into the hierarchy panel again, effect pivot only, centered object. And with the button still depressed, we'll just zero out the x-axis again, so it's in the center, turn off the button, and just do a mirror as a copy on the X. Okay, we'll just check to make sure that's lined up correctly. Okay, that looks right, so we'll go with that. And I think that'll pretty much complete the entire bottom portion here, unless I'm forgetting something, but I don't think we are. So now we can finally start working on the actual bed up at the top, as well as the doors and all the pieces that make those up. Alright, so let's just select all these pieces here. We'll unhide all again. And as you can see, it's getting pretty laggy here, so let's just invert the selection with Control I and hide the front of the truck. And we'll start working on the back now. And this is also going to be quite simple. Alright, so I think we'll start up on the top piece, and then we'll do the sides after we get those in place. Alright, so for this, let's maybe use a chamfer box. So I'm just going to go over to the crate panel, pull this down to extended primitives, and we'll grab a chamfer box here. And we'll just drag this out over top. Okay, just like that. Give it some width, and then we'll just roll it over a little bit here. Maybe something like that. Okay, we'll see how that looks here. Let's put the blue shader on it. And let's maybe add an extra fillet segment here, just so it's a little bit more smooth on the corners. Okay, and I think that'll probably work fine. Okay, so let's just convert it to double poly. And we'll just adjust the width here. Let's switch this back to the front view. And we'll just drag it over here to the left side and line it up. And we'll just go into vertex, grab all the right side verts and just stretch it over to the other side. Okay, like that. And we'll also center the pivot point here and just zero it out on the x-axis. Okay. And I'm just going to go into isolation mode with Alt Q. And the first thing we'll do here is get rid of these bottom polygons, which we don't really need. Okay, so let's go into polygon, grab all the polys here, make sure you have ignore backfacing turned off, and then we'll just hold down Alt and deselect the top and side polygons. So we have the bottom selected up to this edge here. Okay, we can just delete those out now. And for the top here, let's maybe do an inset on this top polygon. Alright, so let's select that one. And let me just go into the top view here. Just gonna turn off my shading with F2. And we'll just exit isolation mode for a second here so we can see the blueprints. Okay, we also want to switch this to the top view. And I just need to see how far we have an inset here. Okay, so with that top polygon selected, we'll just do an inset. And we'll take this up until it matches what's on the blueprints. Okay, we'll do about, say, 30. That should be fine. Hit OK to that. Hit Alt Q again here. And we'll just punch the top polygon in a little bit here, just to add a little more detail. Alright, so let's do an extrusion. Let's bring that down to a negative amount. And we don't need it to be super deep. Let's do about -6 or so. And OK. And let's maybe also chamfer down these top edges. Okay, so let's go back to edge and we'll just grab the 4 top edges here. And we'll give that a small chamfer here. Alright, let's just do around 1 or so, that looks fine. Okay, and I'm not going to really bother to chamfer the inside corners here. I think we can just leave those the way they are so we don't have any problems over here when we chamfer this edge. But let's maybe also chamfer the lower edges here. So let's grab this polygon again and then control click edge. So we have the 4 edges running around there, select it, and we'll just give that a chamfer as well. Alright, and we can just do that maybe around 0.8 or so, and that should be fine. Okay, so we'll just come underneath and we want to cap the bottom of this, so let's go back to border here. Grab that open border at the bottom and we'll just hit cap. Okay, with that still selected, I'm going to control click edge. So we have those edges selected around the bottom, and we'll just chamfer this down as well. Let's do around 1.3 or so on that. Okay, now pretty much take care of the top of the truck. It's really, really simple, and there's no reason to really overcomplicate things. So we'll leave like that. Let's exit isolation mode, and we'll go back into the left view here. Okay, and let's maybe adjust the width here just a little bit. Okay, I'm just going to move that down slightly. And we'll just pull the bottom verts down a little bit more so it matches up with the blueprint a little bit better. Alright, so grab all those bottom verts and just move it down. Okay, and we'll center the pivot point on this piece. And then we'll just do a mirror as a copy on the Y. And we'll use this for the bottom. So let's bring that right down. And we'll set it right on top of the framing. Just like that. And for this one, I think we can thin it up a little bit more. So back into vertex here, grab the top verts this time, and just pull it down until it matches up with the blueprint. Alright, so that'll pretty much be the shape of the back of the truck here, and we'll just start working on the actual corrugated sides, which will be pretty simple for us to model.